I don't know, but I think um, I think the party will absolutely let him make that decision. I don't think he's going to face serious pressure to leave, but he's been prime minister for 6 years. That's longer than he's ever held any other job in his life.
Will the Conservative Party allow Aaron O'Toole the same latitude?
I think Aaron O'Toole's going to face serious pressure to lose his job, partly because losing hurts, and it's a natural instinct for a losing team to switch out the coach, even if the coach had interesting ideas, even if the coach tried hard to bring the party closer to the mainstream of Canadian political opinion. Aaron O'Toole is not from the party's power base in the West. He forced the party to swallow itself whole on climate, on deficit spending, on a lot of social issues that don't come naturally. And in return, he brought them pretty much to where Andrew Scheer brought them before they turfed Andrew Scheer. Frankly, this party liked Andrew Scheer more than it likes Aaron O'Toole. And if if Aaron O'Toole's selling proposition was, you don't have to like me, I'm just going to win, then he's going to have a very difficult time making that case over the next several months.
So then let me ask you, what is the future for conservatism in Canada if he tried to move it, and emphasize the progressive aspect of the party and the progressive roots and move it more toward the moderate center? And as our analysis showed, the PPC on the right ended up maybe depriving the Conservatives of 7 or 8 seats last night, Paul. Where does then the party evolve? More to the right, or does it stay to the center at this point?
I mean, maybe it goes both ways at once. It's difficult to be a conservative in North America these days. In 2015, a senior conservative told me that Canada's Conservative Party got along well, cooperated well, exchanged personnel during election periods with UK Conservatives, New Zealand, Australian Conservatives, but that Canada's Conservative Party had less and less to do with the American Republican Party because the American Republican Party was off on some eccentric jag that was just not sellable in Canada. The problem is that Conservative Party members and Conservative voters watch Fox News, and they get the same stuff over Facebook that people outside the major population centers in the United States get. And it's not entirely clear to me that you can reconcile the Conservative Party simultaneously with the Canadian political center, which is big and moves. It's not, the Canadian political center isn't necessarily what the Liberal Party says it is, but it is broadly based in observable reality and fact. And I'm not sure you can reconcile that with a party in a broader movement that is not sure that human activity causes global warming, and is not sure that COVID is a real disease, and is not sure that vaccines aren't killing people more than this hypothetical disease does. I mean, that's a really tough circle to square.
And these are the things you're going to be thinking on and writing about, and we'll look forward to your next analysis. A win's a win is the piece in Maclean's.ca right now. Paul Wells, thank you very much for the time and insight. Always appreciate it.
Thanks. Good morning.
As we look back to the electoral map, and Michael Serapio is going to join me on all of this, it is a Liberal minority government that is the result from the vote yesterday. And as we look at this map, Michael, so much of it we were thinking might not be decided conclusively because of the number of mail-in ballots. We know about 6 million Canadians voted in advance polling, another million or so requested mail-in kits, and they have to be counted to give us the final tally. But as it's turned out, enough on the election day and with those advance ballots that we know who won the election, even if we don't know the full outcome in 18 ridings this morning, Michael.
That's right. Too close to call at this point, Heather. Now, in the last hour we were talking about a Toronto riding called Spadina-Fort York, and part of the reason why that's delayed is, as people may have seen during our special last night, even though the polls closed, people were in line for hours, and it stretched for blocks and blocks and blocks, so it actually took a long time for people to finish their voting, and that is the exact same situation in the Toronto riding of Davenport. So that's one example of a riding that's too close to call right now. Now, did win it back in the Orange Wave of 2011. Andrew Cash, a famous Canadian singer, actually won and became MP. And now the NDP are trying to claim it back. In fact, this was a riding that the NDP was targeting. And you see there the close number between the Liberal candidate as well as Alejandro Bravo, who is running for the NDP. Too close to call at this point. We were watching that closely. The other one that we're watching closely, Edmonton Centre. Now, the Liberals did want to flip seats in Alberta. This is one that possibly may go their way. Edmonton Centre, represented by Randy Boissonneau, Trudeau's former special advisor in LGBTQ issues. Too close at this point, watching that very tightly today. The other race, among the others that we're watching, Vancouver Granville. The people that you see on the screen, maybe not so familiar, but the name of the riding would be, and that's because this is the riding or former riding of Jody Wilson-Raybould, Trudeau's former justice minister who resigned over the SNC-Lavalin affair. She was an independent. The Liberals now want it back, and at this point, this is where it stands. The Liberals and the NDP in a very tight race, Heather.
One of the things we've been talking about all morning, Michael, is how the map looks pretty much now as it did in 2019, but have there been any really notable flips in the ridings?
Some notable flips, but I'm actually going to begin here with a notable addition, and by that I mean the riding of Haldimand Norfolk, traditionally a conservative riding. It remains conservative, but what's notable about this is who is now being added to the Conservative caucus. If you look at it, the woman who won is Leslyn Lewis, of course, the woman who surprised many by her strong run for leadership back in 2020 for the party. And she, anyway, so this unfortunately, we're trying to get the writing up. Anyways, Leslyn Lewis came in third behind Erin O'Toole and Peter MacKay. She is now making her way to the House of Commons. She's now the MP for that riding, a strong addition to the Tory team. So not a flip, but a strong addition, rather, to the Conservatives. Kitchener Centre, let's go there, because that is a notable flip here, because the Greens, for the first time ever, are sending a federal MP from Ontario, and that's in part because of Raj Saini, you see there in the red. He withdrew from the race after allegations about his past actions came up, and he is not officially running, so the Greens, who came in second last time around, now taking that seat. One more here, Calgary Skyview. We were talking about Edmonton Centre as an example of what Liberals want to do in Alberta, flip a seat. Here's one where they actually have flipped a seat. This is a Liberal gain. George Chahal, the former